Okay, ladies and gentlemen, if we could have your attention, please. We are now joined by our winners of the 16th Annual Hollywood Casino 400, driver Kevin Harvick, driver of the number 4 Outback Chevrolet for Stewart Haas Racing, crew chief Rodney Childers, and team owner Gene Haas. So, gentlemen, congratulations. This is Kevin's 35th victory in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series, and the team's 4th victory and 23rd top 10 in 2016. So if we could just start with Kevin, talk a little bit about your race this afternoon and how it feels to be locked into the next round.
Yeah, we had a lot of things going on in the race today. We started off well, and our car would fall off a little bit more than some of the other cars, but it seemed like that kind of played into our hands as we got towards the end of the race with a half a run there. I think that the last restart obviously was the key to getting into victory lane. I think, for me, looking in the mirror, knowing we were clear, we just needed to get as far out as we could because I felt like the car was going to drop off. It didn't really drop off the last time out just because of track position, but I knew there was a couple cars back there that had taken tires. I guess that was the 18 behind me that had some speed, but I felt like we could have maintained that gap pretty easily. But I didn't really know exactly where our car was going to go based on what had happened during the day, but clean air really made a big difference for us.
Okay, and if we could, Rodney, when the pressure's on, this team always seems to find success. If you could just talk a little bit about that and how you're feeling heading into Talladega.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think a lot of that comes from Kevin. It feeds down through him as far as being confident and being determined and working hard, and then that comes down through me and then our shop foreman and our car chief, and we're just fortunate to have a lot of guys that won't quit. They don't take no for an answer. They don't care how many hours they work. They don't care what they have to do. They just try to make it happen, and it's cool to be in that environment and be around people like that. It's something that we all hope that we can do sometime in our lifetime, and but it definitely feels good to get out of here and be able to go to Talladega and not worry about things and just go back to the shop and work on our Martinsville car and Phoenix car and Texas cars. So really happy to be in victory lane for sure.
And Gene, as Rodney touched on, obviously a lot of success with this number 4 team. If you could just share your thoughts on what that means for your organization.
Well, obviously last week was it was a disappointment in the sense that we had a mechanical failure, but those things happen, and that's one thing exciting about this chase format is that you never know, when your number's going to get pulled, and I think we were pretty nervous, going into Talladega next week, and when you get behind a little bit, you got all of a sudden you get down to a win or go home. That makes for excitement. So obviously we're glad we don't have to have that excitement at Talladega. So now we can focus on getting Kurt Busch, into the next round, and it's awesome because next week is our debut at the Austin Formula One race. So having a win on our backs, going into a Formula One race is going to feel good.
Okay, if you have a question, please raise your hand. We'll get a microphone to you. We'll start with Randy and then go over to Kenny and Pat.
Hi, Kevin. Randy Kovitz, Kansas City Star. Gene just kind of touched on it, but when you look at the last 2 weeks, and they might have been aberrations, but Dover and Charlotte sitting there 12th in these points. Just where was your head? Where was your mind coming into here?
I have no idea where we were in the points or how many we were behind. The only thing we talked about was trying to figure out how to win this race, and if we didn't win this race, what we needed to do at Talladega. I think for us, it's always about reaching for something to motivate us. If it's having to win a race, going to a racetrack you haven't won at, whatever, having rebounded from a bad week. We've been fortunate to be on the good side of this deal for 3 years now, and we know we can perform. We know we can perform in good and bad situations, and that's not something that we really even talk about because we've already done all that. So we just have to try to prepare and comb through all the information and watch the past races and try to make good decisions throughout the weekend. And we had a fast car, and I tried to crash it yesterday, but you know that was really, that's what you have to do. You have to be aggressive, and that's what Gene said. You know, the unique part about this chase is people who can win can take advantage of rebounding and mechanical failures, because things are going to happen. Things are going to break. You're going to have issues, and you got to be able to rebound from them. So that's just a credit to the whole organization and the things that they do to put these race cars on the racetrack. And I'm just a fortunate guy that gets to drive them, and just having a lot of fun being a part of a team like this, because, you know, we could say that we needed to go jump off a cliff in the morning, and everybody'd be there at sunrise and say, all right, where do we jump? And that's just the type of group that it is. Everybody's got each other's back, and you know, nobody takes offense to somebody telling them that they need to do something better or see something better, and it's just a unique bunch of people, and you're only as good as the people that you have around you, and that's true in every business, and it's no different in this garage.
Okay, we'll go next to Kenny, Pat, and then up to the press box.
Kenny Bruce with NASCAR.com. Kevin, you touched on this a little bit, and Rodney did too, but why is it, obviously you guys don't want to be in a position where you have to win, but why is it when you guys are in those situations, you seem to be able to come through?
Yeah, if you can't win, you won't win. You won't win one of these championships. You'll get to Homestead, and you might point your way in, but there'll be a car that shows up there that's going to win the race and going to win the championship. You know, there's going to be a scenario that pops up through the years. But we've never approached any race as a points race. That's just, he didn't want to hear anything about points before we started this deal, and I'm like, okay, well, that's a new approach for me. Usually you go home and you look at the point standing and say, oh, it was a pretty good week. If we don't win, it's not a good week. And, you know, it's something to where we don't get mad about it, but we try to take away, okay, why did we not win this race when we were in position to win this race? And you know, the good part about it is, do I feel like we had the best car today? Probably not. Do we have the best car at Loudon? Probably not, but guess what? We kept ourselves in it all day. We had good pit stops. We just made good adjustments on the car, and then it came down to, you know, a good restart, and our car was way better when we got out front. So, you know, it's good to, you know, feel like you probably didn't have the fastest car and win the race, because I felt like, you know, I think we've felt like a lot of times we've had the fastest car but and didn't win the race. So it's good to get a few of those back, and, you know, but I think a lot of those times are, you know, you take pieces and things away from those events and try to make things better. So, you know, we've won 2 races in the chase. I feel like both of those have been won on restarts, and that's something that we've worked on for probably a year now to get better at. I needed to do a better job. We needed to change some things around, and you know, so that feels good, and that's just the type of situation that it comes down to is, you know, when we get behind on something, we just dive right into that and try to make it better.
Go ahead, Pat.
Pat to go on NASCAR.com for Rodney. Where you guys don't maybe necessarily need to put as much focus on Talladega now, what does that offer you guys in terms of preparation for the next round?
Well, you always want to go win a race, but on the other hand, you can't control it, you know, and you know, our focus is going to be on Martinsville and moving forward. You know, we've got nice stuff to take to Talladega. We were planning on going down there to maybe have to win the race there. So, you know, we'll definitely go down there and race hard. It's just nice to be able to focus on the weeks going forward. You know, this past week was rough on the whole race team, to be honest, and let those guys go see their kids and their families a few nights is going to be, you know, mean a lot to them, and everybody catch their breath and get ready for Martinsville.
Okay, we'll go up to the press box for a question.
Lee Spencer, motorsport.com. I have a question for Kevin and then a question for Gene. Kevin, NASCAR's put a lot of emphasis on the youth market, but at 40, you look to be on top of your game. Can you just kind of say what the years, what the experience gives you on the track when you're racing against the competition?
Yeah, I think experience in our sport is much different than other sports because, you know, my eyes don't work as good as they used to, and my reflexes might not be as good, but they're still not bad. You know, I think, you know, being able to communicate with your race team and sit in there and talk through some things and try to give them a ballpark of what you think and then let them go from there. definitely has more weight than probably a lot of other sports. I think Peyton Manning, you look at him, he was a very good example of that. He didn't have the most strength or power left in his arm, but he had the best thoughts and strategies and things to approach defenses and preparation, and it got him through, in the end. So, I think for a lot of the young guys, I think Chase is doing a good job in his situation. He's got a championship team, crew chief that have come in and really helped him progress through a lot of things. But there's really still nothing that you can replace experience, especially winning experience, with inside the car.
And for Gene, can you just kind of assess your first season in Formula One, and with the driver market kind of heating up, do you expect to stay the course with Gutierrez and Grosjean?
Well, I think we've done spectacular in terms of, previous teams' attempts in Formula One. And I think a lot of that goes to, myself, Gunther, and Joe Custard, when we set out to put the Formula One team together. We were really there to race, as opposed to, try to be the traditional constructor. So I think so far our business models worked really well. As far as drivers, we've alluded that, Grosjean, because of his contract, will be back next year. And with Esteban, I mean, he's a great driver. But, we haven't really announced anything yet because there's no real reason to. And, we'll just kind of see how things, go forward and what happens. But, at the moment, we're kind of, we feel good with our current drivers. But, like I say, we haven't definitively said whether, Esteban is the driver for next year or not. But that doesn't necessarily mean that he won't be either.
Okay, we'll take our next question in the back from Jason.
Hi, Kevin. Jason from Fox 4 here in Kansas City. Boy, it sure looked like Carl Edwards might be on his way to his first victory here at what he considers his home track. But what was the key, I guess, to your restart? I mean, you said you've been working on them, and it's just it sounds real simple. But was there any any trick to the?
I think the key to the restart is just timing. The rest of it we'll keep to ourselves. I think that the timing was pretty good, and I was able to keep the 48 behind me. He was right next to my bumper, and there was nobody behind the 19. That was really the key to the restart. Was he had a car length between him once we got to the start-finish line from the fourth place car, and he didn't have anybody to carry that momentum down there. And then the second piece was just being able to clear him and break that side draft to keep, and we were able to just drive off because they kept side by side, and that was really what allowed us to get out front.
Any additional questions? Okay, gentlemen, thank you for your time. Congratulations.
Sorry? Sounds familiar. 47 years. The person had gone.